Hey, another walk and talk. Today we're going to talk about why renting is almost always better than owning a home. Almost always. But before we start, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you would. I'd appreciate it. The channel's doing well, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. Try to keep this good content coming. So, as most of you know by now, I've been in tech for 30 something years and been in real estate for 20 of those years. So I know a little bit about both of those things. So I want to tell you about a personal story about why I'm saying that renting is almost always better than owning a home. And I've got real data to back it up. My personal data. And I'm going to share that with you today. So let's get started. So 2005, my wife and I bought our second home when my wife was pregnant with our first daughter. 2005. Spring 05. We paid for that house $477,000 for that house. Brand new. House is about probably 2/3 complete when we bought it. Fell in love with it, bought it, had to have it. At the time we thought, we're crazy. What are we doing here? Look back on it now, I mean, it was a lot of house for the money, but we bought at the peak at the time as well, and we thought, what have we done? So anyway, we paid $477 for the house, brand new, back in 05. Lived in it for 20 years. There's 240 months in 20 years, so let's file that away. So about a year ago, a little over a year ago, about 20 years, we sold that house for $970,000. Yep, $970,000. Subtract that from 477. That's what I made on the house, right? No. That's not what I made on the house. Not even close. But us Americans, we like to do what I call convenient justification. We're going to do whatever we can to justify things to make us feel good. So what people will typically do is they'll say, well, I bought a house for $200,000, I sold it for $300,000, I made $100,000, and aren't I cool? Yep, I'm just so awesome. I just made some money on a house. You didn't. You probably didn't even break even on the house, but you're just going to tell yourself that you did, right? Okay, so back to my story. $477,000, sold it for $970, right on the backside of the peak of this past housing market. Got out in the nick of time. All right, so why did I lose money? Well, I lost a lot of money. Let's do the math. Ready? Here we go. So, paid $477 for the house. Over 240 months, what else did I pay? I paid interest on loan. Put 20% down on the house too, by the way, when I bought it. But we paid interest. And if you know anything, a lot of interest. And if you know anything about amortized mortgages, the front half of the loan, most all of it, is interest. And not till you get to the back half of the loan till you start chewing away principal. So 15 of those years, most of the 20, most of that money went to interest. Didn't even chew the principal away. Okay. All right. So so now we've done that. We've also paid property taxes, and it always went up. They never went down. Always went up. Insurance. When did insurance ever go down? Never. Insurance never went down. Always went up. We what else we do? We replaced the AC unit, the AC system upstairs. That cost about 10 grand. We finished the basement. That cost about 100 grand. Did a good job. Did it nice. 100 grand. What else did we do? Refinished the bathroom. Our master bathroom. How much was that? About 18 grand. Refinished another bathroom. That was however many thousands of dollars. Put in a well in the backyard. How many thousands of dollars that was. Just keep adding it up. Just keep ticking it up. More and more and more. Just add it up, add it up, add it up. Landscaping. We probably had $100,000 in landscaping over the 20 years in landscape improvements that we did. Well, we finished the 4-board fence on one side of the 4 sides of our property because we had 4-board fence. And we were on about 1.25 acres. Our house was on a good big lot. So anyway, you add all that stuff up, and I sat down and did the math, and this was after I sold the house, to see just where I was in this whole thing. Wouldn't you know, the total number, after you add everything up, And I mean everything. I don't mean some. I don't mean whatever you just conveniently justify leaving out. I mean all of it. Now, I'm not talking utilities. No, the utilities don't count that. Water bill, no. Power bill, no. Those don't count. I'm talking about the cost of owning the home, not normal utilities that you would use whether you're renting or owning. Add it all up, guess what the total was? You ready? Are you sure? Here it comes. $1.42 million. Yep, true story. $1.42 million my wife and I had of our money wrapped up in that house over 20 years. Oh, but we sold it for $470. You know, lost big. Do the math on that. Do the math on 970 into 1.42 million. That tells you how much I lost. Or just subtract them. That'll tell you how much I lost. But we've been taught, oh, you gotta own. You have to own. That's the American dream, right? It's like saving your money. It's like, no, it's not. It's total garbage. Has been garbage. Whoever taught us this, ridiculous. Nobody taught me. All right, so we do the math, right? Okay, now let's just, 4.2 million is the total cost of ownership of that house over 20 years or 240 months. All right, if you take that 1.42 million and you divide it over 240 months, guess what you get? You get almost $6,000 a month. Yeah, on average. If you averaged it out, and the cost over 240 months, we spent $6,000 a month to live in that house, not including utilities. Just improvements, property taxes, insurance, interest, landscaping, all of the things that go into that house. $6,000 a month. Now, file that away. Let's just say, instead of buying that house, we would have rented a house of its equivalence from May of 2005 all the way up until we sold it 20 years later. And let's just say over that time frame, the average rent, I figure, was going to be about $2,500 a month. In the early days, it probably would have been in the $1,500 a month to $1,800-ish, I'm guessing. And you get into the more current years, it probably would have been $300 to $3,500 a month to rent that house. But over the average of 20 years, I figure a fair number is probably $2,500 a month rent. Okay? You see where I'm going with this, don't you? Oh, it gets better. It gets really good. Okay, so now, you don't have to have much more than an elementary school education to do this math, ladies and gentlemen. So you take the $6,000 that you paid for the total cost of ownership of the house, then you subtract out of it the $2,500 of what you could have rented each month, right? What you get? $3,500. $3,500, and guess where that money goes? In my pocket. In my pocket. It doesn't go somewhere else. It's in my pocket. Okay? Now, if I had $3,500 a month over 240 months, and let's just keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. If I would have invested, when the rent was due, the $2,500, if I would have taken the other $3,500 and I would have invested that money in QQQ, which is probably the most popular tech ETF so far to date of all time, and I would have taken that $3,500 that I didn't have sunk into a house that I'm owning, right? You're gonna not believe how much that would be worth today. It's gonna blow your mind, but I'm gonna tell you because I've done the math. You ready? Ready for this? Are you sure? Here it comes. I could have rented for $2,500 a month for 240 months, 20 years. Take the other $3,500 a month, put it in QQQ each and every month like clockwork. Don't even look at it. Just put it in there. Don't even look buying the dip or DCA, none of that. Just put it in the beginning of the month. It would be worth $4 to $4.5 million. Yep. Crazy, isn't it? And we've been told, oh, you gotta own. You gotta own. Yo, renting's dumb. You gotta own. Is it dumb? Is it really dumb? I don't think so. I don't think it's dumb. I think it's smart. Because if I would have done that, if I would have rented this entire time, and I may have had to move 2 or 3 times in the process, maybe even 4. But for $4.5 million of wealth, I'll move. Sure thing. And I hate moving. I'd rather have a root canal than move. Matter of fact, I'd rather have a whole mouthful of root canals than move. I hate moving. But for $4.5 million of wealth, let's move. Let's do it. Inconvenience and all. Let's do it. So yeah. So instead of being out of pocket $1.42 million, now I did sell the house for $970 minus $477, so I did get some of that cash back. So take that difference and subtract it from the $1.42 million, and that's the actual cost that I paid to live in the house, which is still a big old negative number. A huge negative number, one I'm not proud of. Okay, so yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And we've been told this whole time, oh, you gotta pay, you gotta own a home. American dream, rent. Yeah, renting no good. Oh, you gotta own. Renting's for people who are out of college, and you need to own your home and all this kind of nonsense. Oh, really? Okay. Well, I tell you right now, if I'm given the choice between shelling out $1.42 million over 20 years to get back what, $700,000, whatever, 600 grand in the end of cash out of it, and I'm still upside down. There was no way. I didn't come close to breaking even on the house. But then people will tell you, oh, convenient justification. Us Americans, we love to do it. Oh, I bought it for 200. I sold it for 300. I made 100. Just you make it that simple. Makes you feel good, right? No, you didn't. You didn't even come close. So anyway, I want to share that story with you and tell you my real story. And so renting is almost always better, especially now with the housing affordability crisis we have. Why do you want to own? Why do you want to own anything right now? Why do you want to be tied down? Owning a home is very illiquid. You try to selling a home is impossible. Right now, you can't even give a home away practically. So you can't, it's just, the whole thing wasn't designed the best, okay? And we've been told that it's the best thing ever, oh, this is what you got to do. Really? Is that what we really need to do? I just did the math. So, and when I did this math, I got a hold of my dad and I said, hey, Dad, I want to share something with you. You got some time? He said, yeah, sure, let's do it. I said, it's about an hour. He goes, yes, yeah, come on, bring it to me. I said, okay. I said, you ready for this? This is not, he's an engineer, okay? My dad's an engineer, sharp guy, into finances too. He's kind of had his second retirement career as finances, managing wealth and all that stuff, managing his own finances and all that. So he's kind of into this stuff. I said, Dad, I walked through this whole thing. Bought it for this, $477. Sold it for this, yep. And then I paid about this in property taxes all through those years, right? And I had the numbers. I've got the math. I've got all the paperwork. I did the math. I did pay the interest on the loan, right? Did all that math. How much of interest did I pay over the life of the loan? I did the insurance, figured up. I said, is this check? Is this reasonable number? Oh, yep. Is this good? Yep. He agreed. I said, if I'm going out of bounds now, if I'm going too high and, I want to be conservative. If you think I'm out of bounds, just call me out. And he says, okay, yeah, I'll call you out. Every one of them, yep, I agree. Yep, that's fair. I said, what about rent? $2,500 a month over the span of 20 years, 240 months. That sound fair? He's up, yep, that sounds fair. Yep, early days probably would have been lower. Later days, you probably would have been in the threes. So yeah, 2,500 average. Yeah, it sounds about right. Yep. Did all this exercise with him. He was blown away. Even my dad. And even he has changed his tune. In his mid-70s now. Owning is garbage. It's total garbage. Who would have thought? And we were taught all these years that this is what you had to do. And it's a joke, folks. It's a farce. It's not true. But nobody wants to teach you this. Nobody wants to tell you this, to how to really do the math. The total cost of ownership, of owning a home, is never in your favor. Never. Never. The only time it's probably in your favor is if you buy it. If you buy a piece of real estate for, let's just say, $500,000, and you immediately flip it for $1 million, like literally a week later, and you made $500,000, you didn't even touch the property, you didn't even really pay property taxes on it, but you paid capital gains on that, which is short term, which is going to nail you. So you're probably looking at on $500,000, you're probably going to end up taking home about what, 300,000 of it, maybe, if you're lucky. Yeah, okay, that'll work, but that's not your primary residence. You're not going to do that on a primary residence. It's going to be a pure flip investment play, short term. So yeah, that makes sense, I guess. But if you're talking about where you're going to live, owning a home is never the better way. It hasn't been in any math I've ever done, because I've never been able to buy something low enough and long enough and held it long enough to where it matters. And I don't sit in one place for 40 years. That's just not, the most I've ever lived somewhere is, I don't know, 5-6 years, until the last place we lived before, in Georgia, before we moved to Tennessee. My wife and I lived there for 20 years. We had never seen more than 5 or 6 anywhere prior to that. So, and so that's just the way it worked out. But yeah, do the math. Sit down and really do the math and be honest and get all the math, all the numbers, not some of the numbers, not just the ones that make you feel good or the ones that are going to make your math, make you, get a big smile on your face. No, just the hard facts, the real numbers. Do the math and add it up and see what you get. I think what you're going to find is it's a loser. It is a loser. And we've been taught that, oh yeah, you got to do this. So let me tell you another little secret too, while we're talking about this. Here's the real truth. This is the secret sauce at the end of the video, that if you stayed this long, this is the real truth kicker that nobody really wants to pay attention to or admit. You never own it. Never. As long as you're paying property taxes on the property, you never own it. You just have the right to use it. And if you don't believe me, you think I'm full of crap, stop paying your property taxes and let me know what happens. Not only will you lose it, the house, not only will you lose it, but they're not going to go give you your money back either that you put into it the whole time. So you lose the house, you lose the initial, all the money that you put in it over the whole time. You get none of it back. None of the taxes, none of the interest, and then you probably have to go to foreclosure, and then you're probably talking about bankruptcy in the mix of it. You're total loss. You're destroyed. So don't pay your property taxes. Let me know how that works out for you. So yeah, this whole thing of, all you're doing is paying the person who owned it before. You're paying them a lot of money to now have the right to use it. Yeah, to call it yours, right? Well, I got you news for you. I'd rather rent, because you know why? Ain't my problem. It's not my problem. It's the guy that thought he was too cool for school to own it, and thinking he's just and that's another conversation we're going to have in another video, is the truth of being a landlord and owning this investment property, right? And passive income. No such thing as passive income, people. It's all BS. There is no such thing as passive income ever, and we'll talk about that in another video. But anyway, I want to share that story with you of the real numbers of why owning or renting is almost always better than owning. Now, there is an exception, and that exception is this. When you build up enough wealth and you have $5 million wealth, 10, 20, 50, 100 million, whatever that number is, right? Then you can go buy what you want. So in that example that I gave you, if I would have rented this whole time, I would have had a roughly $4.5 million of wealth, because I would have invested that $3,500 over those 240 months. Now I can go buy pretty much whatever I want within reason. I mean, I'm going to buy a $200 million piece of property with $4.5 million of leverage. That's not going to get it done, but you get where I'm going, right? You have a lot more freedom to go buy what you want, but you still have to pay those property taxes, and you're still paying the person who owned it before a whole lot of money for then you to get to come in there and do what you want to do with the property, right? So it's all a joke, people. It's all mindset. It's all in how you look at it, and nobody taught me this. Nobody's explained this to me, but I'm doing it for you today. And I did the math and I did the exercise, and I'm trying to help you out. And if you're a millennial or a Gen Z and you're coming up through the ranks of the world, and you're hearing all this, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to own it and not rent it and all this, it's all crap. You're better off renting and taking that money and that extra money and investing it into something that's going to give you real returns over your years, that you'll be able to then, when the real dream becomes reality, is when you can go buy really what you want and go and really have the money to go buy something at that point in time with cash, and not have to take on leverage, not have to have a mortgage, not have to borrow money. That's true financial power and financial freedom. So anyway, that's the video for the day, guys. The walk and talk. Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys tuning in. The channel's growing. I'm gonna keep going. It's been fun. If you got any questions or you don't agree, tell me down in the comments. It's okay. We can hash it out. And if you see where I'm missing something, I want to hear it. So let me know. But have a good day, guys. I appreciate you. Gen X guy out. Bye.